So in this video, I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay is a prison detention center camp located on the island of Cuba. The facility is owned and operated by the United States government, in particular the military. So some of the issues I have are not going to be popular opinions. I know that most Americans especially are just so fucking gung-ho when it comes to their military and to their idea of exceptionalism when it comes to the rest of the world, that they're not really going to be able to relate to what I'm about to say. So a lot of you won't agree, but again, my point and my intention is never to give a fuck about what any of you think, but rather give my opinion. And in this case, my opinion on Guantanamo is that it is a fucking disaster. It is a shame and it is an embarrassment to us as a nation that we've allowed this to go on for as long as we have. Guantanamo Bay, by definition, by the government's definition, is a facility built, created to house suspected war criminals. So the problem I have with that is that the United States hasn't made a declaration of war in decades. We are not at war with anybody as it currently stands right now. Technically, legally, we have no right. We are operating outside of the confines of the law and the Geneva Convention by our military actions and by these illegal detentions. And I just want you guys to give some thought to the following. Once you start allowing a government to operate outside of the confines of the law and make exceptions and have secrets like this, it's the beginning of the end for us all. And this is not something that's brand new. This is not the first time. This is not the catalyst that started the whole movement of government not giving a fuck about our rights. That's began a long time ago. But as you can see in our own society, just observe what's going around, what's happening around you, and you'll see that they don't give a fuck about our rights. Our rights are being diminished and taken away on a daily basis. Think about it. Just think. In my area, the government and the police make marijuana arrests or serve warrants with fucking SWAT teams. SWAT teams. They go in there and they throw fucking gas grenades and they fucking break people's doors down in the middle of the night for nothing, for bullshit, for non-violent white-collar crimes or dumb shit. Think about that. Where did they get the fucking audacity to do that? They got it because at some point in the past, we, the American people, turned our backs and disregarded the violations of the law that they were doing. And that began the whole cycle. So as we allow them to have more and more power, we lose power ourselves and we lose rights. So going back to Guantanamo Bay, the bottom line is that we are a nation built on law. We are a nation built on principle. And that principle goes back to the founding of the nation, what we stand for. And what this country has always stood for, at least on paper, at least when they talk, is freedom and rights. And that those rights are not to be taken away by anybody. Not by our own government or not by another government. And the people in Guantanamo have had their rights completely disregarded. Just to give you guys some perspective. At another time in my life, things were very different for me. I was caught up in a lot of crazy things, and I sat in a fucking cage for 17 months. 17 months without being formally charged. Without indictment. So there are laws in place to not allow that to happen for Americans. The legal allowance for time to indict someone after you arrest them is 6 months. And yet, in my case, the government was granted exception after exception, and they just continued. They disregarded my rights. And for me, I couldn't understand. I was devastated by it. What the fuck kind of country is this that they're not even following their own rules? They're the ones who made the rules and said I have 6 months to be indicted, and here I am. Nobody gave a fuck. That happened to me because prior to that, people turned their back and disregarded these type of abuses. And for me, 17 months is a long time, no matter what, for anyone. And to those of you that disregard people and don't give a fuck, you have no fucking idea what it is to be in a fucking cage. You have no fucking idea what it is. So you have no right to talk shit about people who are coming to these people's defense. 17 months for me, without even being charged. Just take me off the street like a kidnapping. Put me in a fucking cage, nothing. And some of these people have been there for 15 years. Think about that. They got picked up in another part of the world and snatched and taken to a location, the location not even revealed to them for a long time. 15 fucking years sitting there with no charges. Never brought to trial. Nothing. So I can't understand how anyone can be in support of that. That's not law. That's not democracy. That's not showing concern for the rights of another. That's fucking dictatorship. That's the stuff that we criticize. Secrecy. Violation of human rights. If these people actually committed the crimes, bring them to trial. Bring them to a court. Allow for the evidence to prove the case for you. But don't make allegations on people and just say, oh, he did this, he did that, he's so fucking bad, and kidnap them and disappear them for all this time with nothing? Come on, think about it, people. Think about it. This is a fucking crazy thing that Americans are so blind to. For the most part, they can't fucking understand. They don't realize this because they're all so fucking gung-ho. They can't accept that their government can be wrong. And they're absolutely wrong in this case. Absolutely fucking wrong. If the people have done something, prove it. Prove it. Don't call people war criminals without a declaration of war. Act within the confines of your own fucking laws. And I encourage you guys to stand up against this type of abuse. Because believe me, as little as you care about these people, you may think they're terrorists, whatever your opinion is, allowing it to happen to another is the beginning of it ultimately happening to you. And the same way you ignore these fucking voices and suffering now, you will be ignored. And nobody will give a fuck about you. And when you're on that side, like I was, you'll understand why it's so important to not stay quiet, to not back down, but to stand up, not only for yourself, but for others, even when they're strangers. Because what's right is right, and it's not all about us. Give it some thought, guys.